Welcome to the DCTV News at Noon program. I'm Kelsey Kiesling.
And I'm Kendra Cook. Dolores County Broadcasting Network is the producer of DCTV with support from the Southwest TV Translator Association.
If you have a news topic or tips you'd like to see covered, give us a call. The studio number is 677-4119.
Today's show runs Monday at noon and is rebroadcast at 3 and 6 p.m. and again re-aired on Thursday at noon, 3 and 6. Today is December 4th, 2017, and now the news at noon.
According to the Cortez Journal, a Durango man found guilty of 2 counts of first-degree criminal trespass and attempt to commit aggravated motor vehicle theft was sentenced Friday in district court to 24 years in prison. Louis Leonardo Albo, age 34, has a lengthy criminal history with 9 felonies. Under Colorado's 3 strikes law, Albo was charged as a habitual offender because he was previously convicted of more than 3 separate felonies. Prison sentences under the habitual offender statute are much longer than the normal maximum sentence. On September 13, 2016, Albo attempted to steal a truck from Exxon Tempo Mini Mart, 2800 U.S. Highway 160 in West Durango. The owner of the vehicle, Alexander Hostuick, left his 6-year-old son restrained inside the truck while he went to purchase a drink. Police received a second call that evening from the Westwood apartments along the same stretch of highway. Daniel Crutcher and Shelby Phelps were preparing to leave when they noticed Albo seated inside their vehicle. Albo again fled, but officers arrested him shortly after. Albo maintained his innocence throughout the legal proceedings. Albo was facing either 12 or 24 years behind bars, depending on whether the judge stacked the 2 charges on top of each other or made them run consecutively. District Judge William Herringer deliberated the sentence, but ultimately decided on the maximum penalty.
Reported in the Journal for Cortez, the Hopi tribe has signed an agreement with Arizona that allows it to lease or operate up to 900 slot machines, the last of the state's tribes to do so. Hopi Chairman Herman Honani signed the compact a day before leaving office, contemplating the loss of up to 85% of the tribe's budget with the expected closure of a coal mine in 2019. On the small northeastern reservation that's encircled by the much larger Navajo Nation, talk of casinos generally accompanies talk of coal. Hopis have rejected the tribe's participation in gambling at least twice in the polls, 1995 and 2004. Each time, supporters have pointed out the need for a new source of revenue to provide services for tribal members, while opponents have said gambling goes against cultural customs and would add to social ills. Honani told the Associated Press earlier this year that opinions change and a study would be needed to assess the gambling landscape. The Hopi Tribal Council authorized the leadership a year ago to negotiate a compact with the state. The Kayenta mine has only one customer, the Navajo Generating Station near Page. The plant's owners decided earlier this year to shut it down in December 2019 in favor of power produced by natural gas and got the final approvals this week. If it closes, so does the mine run by Peabody Energy. Peabody is trying to find a new owner for the power plant, but that's considered a long shot. It's unclear whether the Hopi tribe is leaning towards leasing slot machines to be used in another tribe's casino or operating its own casino. Whatever the end result, leases or a facility, that is good for the Hopi tribe and it's also good for the state, said Vuren Kirwanoyuma, an attorney who represented the Hopi tribe in the gambling compact. The most recent figures from the Arizona Department of Gaming show tribal casinos have contributed nearly $1.35 billion to the state since 2003. The U.S. Bureau of Indian Affairs now has 45 days to review the compact that is standard among Arizona tribes, said Caroline Opelman, a spokeswoman for the gaming department. 16 Arizona tribes together operate 24 casinos in the state, and 5 lease their slot machines, according to the gaming department. Under the standard tribal compact, casinos collectively can have 18,158 slot machines. About 15,250 are in operation. The closest casino to the Hopi Reservation is owned by the Navajo Nation, east of Flagstaff. The Hopis have contemplated building a casino on tribal trust land off Interstate 40 near Winslow, Arizona, estimating the business would create hundreds of jobs and tens of millions of dollars in revenue. The compact allows Hopi to operate 3 casinos. The new Hopi chairman and vice chairman, Tim Nuvangyamo and Clark Tanakahongva, were sworn into office on Friday. The 2 leaders get much of their authority from the tribal council.
According to the Cortez Journal, a high-speed car chase that reached speeds of 95 miles per hour ended Saturday night after the driver ran off the road about 8 miles south of Hesperus. According to Colorado State Patrol Captain Adrian Driscoll, authorities received a report around 7:25 p.m. Saturday that a vehicle was driving all over the road on Highway 3 in Durango. A Colorado State Patrol officer was able to pull over the car about 5 minutes later near the intersection of Highway 3 and Camino del Rio. However, while the car was pulled over, the driver took off west on U.S. Highway 160. Officers tried to initiate a tactical traffic stop on the vehicle unsuccessfully, Driscoll said. The driver then turned down County Road 141, also known as Wildcat Canyon Road. The driver reached speeds of 85 to 95 miles per hour on the narrow county road. Driscoll said traffic was light on the road and no other drivers were affected by the high-speed car chase. Near the intersection of County Road 141 and Highway 140, the driver crashed the vehicle through a fence and went about 50 feet off the highway, off the roadway. The driver then took off on foot. Less than 5 minutes later, the driver ran from the scene. Officers were able to locate him hiding in a bush. He was arrested at about 8 p.m. Driscoll said because the man was Native American and crashed the vehicle on Southern Ute Indian tribe land, Southern Ute police were notified and took over the incident. The man was identified as 31-year-old Lamar Fields of Toyac. He is suspected of driving under the influence of alcohol, Driscoll said. Any subsequent charges against Fields would come from Southern Ute police, Driscoll said. Calls to the Southern Ute police were not returned Sunday.
From the Journal, the U.S. Forest Service is rethinking protection plans for sage grouse in 6 western states after a U.S. court agreed with mining companies and others that the agency illegally created some safeguards in Nevada. The agency announced last week that it's working with the U.S. Bureau of Land Management, which also is reviewing its plans for the struggling bird following an order by Interior Secretary Ryan Zinke. Forest Service spokesman John Shivak said the coordinated review makes sense 2 years after federal officials decided the chicken-sized bird shouldn't receive endangered species protections. The agency is taking public comments in Idaho, Montana, Nevada, Utah, Colorado, and Wyoming through January 5th to see how well things are working. It says it will review the input before deciding if changes are needed. It's not clear when the agency will make a decision. The government in 2015 didn't list sage grouse but imposed restrictions on land use that were based on multiple plans put forward by the Forest Service and BLM. Many of those plans include sagebrush focal areas that created additional restrictions in places considered key sage grouse habitat. The federal court in Nevada in March ruled that the Forest Service's creation of the focal areas in a part of the state violated federal environmental laws because the agency failed to give the public enough information to participate in a meaningful way before creating them. The focal areas added late in the process in 2015 are found in many states and generally considered one of the reasons sage grouse didn't receive federal protection. Focal areas were, quote, a last-minute surprise to a lot of people, and that created a lot of ill will, said John Freemuth, a Boise State University environmental policy professor and public lands expert. Whether or not doing them would have avoided a sage grouse listing is pure speculation. Idaho Governor C.L. Butch Otter has complained bitterly about the focal areas and filed a lawsuit shortly after the 2015 federal plan came out, contending the Obama administration acted illegally by imposing federal land use restrictions. A federal judge dismissed the lawsuit in January, but Otter in March appealed to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia. That case remains active. Because the focal areas are in multiple states, Shivak said the Forest Service decided to also review its plans outside of Nevada and look at more than just focal areas. Other topics the agency is taking public comments on include grazing guidelines, modifying habitat boundaries, and land use exemptions. Millions of sage grouse once roamed the West, but development, livestock grazing, and an invasive grass that encourages wildfires have reduced the bird's population to fewer than 500,000. Most of the bird's habitat, sagebrush steppe, is on land administered by the BLM. Shivak said the Forest Service manages about 8% of sage grouse habitat.
Reported by the Cortez Journal, a Cortez man who was arrested on 2016 on suspicion of importing drugs from Mexico was found guilty November 29th of 2 out of the 11 charges originally brought against him. Ryan Buffington pleaded not guilty in June to multiple felony and misdemeanor crimes, including drug possession and distribution, intent to manufacture or distribute drugs, and possession of illegal weapons. Many of the charges have been dismissed by the 22nd Judicial District Attorney's Office. A jury ultimately found him guilty of 2 drug possession charges and acquitted him of 2 distribution charges. Buffington was arrested after a long investigation by the Cortez Police Department, sparked by various anonymous tips that suggested he and some associates were bringing narcotics and anabolic steroids into Cortez from Mexico, according to a November 2016 arrest affidavit. In May 2016, police obtained a warrant to search his house and reportedly found bags of cocaine, bottles of various steroids, and multiple firearms and other weapons. He was arrested in November on a felony warrant. The jury acquitted Buffington of 2 counts of possession of a controlled substance with intent to distribute or manufacture the substance. He was found guilty of the 2 remaining charges, 1 felony and 1 misdemeanor charge of possession of a controlled substance. Buffington's sentencing hearing is scheduled for January 18th at 11 a.m. He faces another jury trial scheduled for February 5th, in which he is being charged with violation of bond conditions, according to prosecuting attorney Matthew Margerson. And now let's take a look at the weather.
We sure do know it's close to officially being winter out there, as temps in southwest of Dove Creek dropped down to a low of just around 18 degrees this morning on the local weather station. Nationally, that low pressure is sweeping across the middle of the country from the southwest up to the Midwest, with large areas of possible snow in the higher elevations over northern Utah and Colorado, across Wyoming and through Montana, the Dakotas, and up into Canada. A high pressure behind this line off the west coast will bring in dry conditions, but temperatures will now continue to be aligned with seasonal averages, meaning cold and sunny days ahead. Between 2 low pressure systems, much of the eastern half of the U.S. will see potential for rain and storms today, moving across to the coastline by tomorrow. Regionally, we do have a hazardous weather outlook for eastern Utah and western Colorado, with snow showers lingering in the U.S. 40 corridor through the morning and early afternoon of today on Monday. A few additional inches of accumulation are possible in the higher elevations of the flat tops and park ranges before the snow ends on Monday afternoon. Travel over mountain passes will be impacted by snow-covered roadways, as well as gusty winds early in the day. Elsewhere, a dry day is expected with cooler temperatures running near seasonal averages. Tranquil weather will last through the middle of the week. The primary weather story on Monday will be this dramatically cooler temperature. A temperature drop of 15 to 20 degrees will apply area-wide, but the National Weather Service says, quote, "We have been quite spoiled as of late on the western slope, and while the temperature change may feel harsh, take note that afternoon highs will simply be returning to seasonal averages for early December." Any lingering snow showers in the northern Park Range will end by midnight, as dry air both at the surface and aloft entertain into the mid-level cloud deck. A few clouds may linger through the overnight hours along the Continental Divide. Otherwise, the remainder of the western slope will end up mostly clear with light northwest flow. Valley locations will quickly decouple early in the evening, setting the stage for what will be the coldest night of the season so far into Tuesday morning. That's tonight into Tuesday. Expect a mostly sunny day area-wide on Tuesday, with temperatures rebounding to seasonal averages. The 5-day DCTV outlook shows us the week of cold, dry weather and repeat. Today, sunny with a high just near 37 degrees, north-northwest winds 5 to 10 miles an hour. At least those strong gusts from Sunday are now out of the picture. Tonight, mostly clear with a low down to 15 degrees or lower, possibly in Dove Creek. North-northeast winds around 10 miles an hour. Tuesday, sunny with a high near 42, north winds 10 to 15 miles an hour. Tuesday night, clear with a low around 15 once again. North-northeast winds 5 to 10 miles an hour. Then Wednesday, sunny with a high near 45, north winds 5 to 15. Wednesday night, clear with a low around 19. And again, sunny Thursday and Friday, highs near 43 and warming up Friday to 49. Thursday night, clear with a low around 21, and Friday night, clear with a low around 24. Saturday, mostly sunny with a high near 51 degrees. Saturday night, mostly clear with a low down to 25. So be sure to bundle up tonight if you're heading out to the Dove Creek Community Christmas Holiday Party at the Rock from 5 to 7 p.m. As that sun goes down, you'll surely want to snuggle up by the fire and take advantage of the free glove and hat giveaways, along with the hot chocolate and s'mores and the warmth of singing holiday carols. Oh, and Santa's going to be there too. And now, back to the news.
Reported by the Cortez Journal, a Durango man accused of an armed carjacking at Fort Lewis College was arrested Thursday in downtown Durango. Durango police located and arrested Roger Chase Brassard, age 25, of Durango, near 11th Street and Main Avenue, without incident, said Mitch Davis, spokesman with the college. Brassard was arrested on a criminal mischief and domestic violence warrant for a separate incident that occurred Monday night at the Iron Horse Inn. Around 8 p.m. Monday, Brassard is suspected of approaching a man who was waiting in a car outside Jones Hill at FLC. Armed with a handgun, Brassard allegedly demanded the driver move into the passenger seat. By the time officers arrived, Brassard had left the scene. His wife, however, had a swollen lip indicative of physical abuse, Shoup said. Brassard's wife was uncooperative with police. After authorities were unable to locate Brassard, they issued the criminal mischief and domestic violence warrant. Brassard is being held without bail as a result of the domestic violence charge. A warrant for carjacking is pending. In April 2015, Brassard led authorities on a high-speed chase after Durango police received a report of a dispute between a man and a woman in downtown Durango. In that incident, Brassard is believed to have fired a gun and taken his ex-girlfriend's vehicle. The car chase lasted more than an hour, reaching speeds of 80 miles per hour before authorities immobilized the vehicle. Brassard was charged with harassment, reckless driving, hit and run, drunken driving, and felony eluding for that incident. It is unclear as of late Thursday how the chase was adjudicated.
From the Cortez Journal, shale drillers are promising to add a new wrinkle to their world-shaking oil boom. They may finally make money. In third quarter earnings reports, explorers, including Pioneer Natural Resources Corporation, EOG Resources Inc., and Anadarko Petroleum Corporation, said they're on the cusp of shrinking or even eliminating the gap between operating expenses and the cash they take in. That would mark a turning point for an industry that's piled up losses and lived on borrowed money for years, as drillers plowed resources into developing new oil plays across the U.S. The International Energy Agency acknowledged the U.S. boom's resilience on Tuesday, predicting shale will be dominant in global markets for at least the next decade. If earnings forecasts are right, that dominance will come with a helping of fiscal discipline. Companies promise to heed investor calls for a hardened focus on dividends, buybacks, and boosting stock prices. To hear shale executives talk this earnings season, quote, was to hear actors auditioning for the same part, reading the same lines from the same script, said Dan McSpirit, a BMO Capital Markets Corporation analyst. The story was about capital discipline or growth within cash flow or some variation of it. Among the biggest shale-focused producers, free cash flow, the money left after subtracting operating costs, are expected to rise in the coming quarters, according to analyst estimates tracked by Bloomberg. The new, quote, balanced operating model is in contrast to the industry's historical behavior of chasing top-line growth at the ultimate expense of shareholders. Dave Hager, CEO at Oklahoma City-based Devon Energy, told analysts on November 1st. "We are absolutely committed to doing business differently," he said.
Reported by the Durango Herald, the jury trial happened in October 6 Judicial District Court in Durango. Malloy's public defense lawyer, Barry Neuberger King, argued against sentencing him to drug court or Hilltop House, a community corrections program in Durango. "I do not think Hilltop is necessary," she said. "It is taking a bed away from someone who needs it. That sentence could backfire and be over supervision." Neuberger King said Malloy has always felt bad for what happened. Prosecutors said Malloy teamed up with Joshua Gonzalez of Farmington in April to break into the pawn shop to steal a bicycle. When Gonzalez returned to steal guns, Malloy helped facilitate the crime, said Deputy District Attorney Reed Stewart. In all, the men stole 3 bikes and 5 guns from the pawn shop worth more than $4,000. Malloy later confessed to the burglary and told police about Gonzalez. District Judge Todd Norville was not easily swayed by Malloy's statement. Norville said he reluctantly sentenced Malloy to probation, which includes a mental health evaluation.
From the Cortez Journal, 1 year after introducing a line of one-engine aircraft to the Cortez Municipal Airport, Boutique Air has increased its use of 2-engine airplanes. When Boutique first started flying out of Cortez Airport in October 2016, it had two 2-engine King Air 350 planes in its fleet. but did not use them in Cortez, instead relying on the one-engine Pilatus PC-12 aircraft. The company has since added 2 King Airs to its fleet and started using the 2-engine craft for more Cortez flights, according to airport manager Russ Machen. By October 2017, almost 80% of all Cortez flights were performed by King Airs. When the Cortez City Council first considered Boutique's bid for air service in 2016, some Cortez residents said they were concerned about the company's one-engine aircraft, that it might not be safe. Machen said that the model has an excellent safety record, which includes use by air ambulance companies, but he has expressed a different concern about the Pilatus planes to Boutique. They don't always have enough space for passengers' baggage, he said. You've got a lot of hunters coming in with guns, and when they go back out, they're going to have a cooler full of meat, he said. You load during ski season 5, 6, 7 people and their ski equipment and whatnot, you could also have a problem there. The King Air planes have more room not only for baggage but for passengers. While Pilatus airplanes have the capacity to seat 9 people, most of the ones in Boutique's flight have replaced the 9th seat with a restroom. The King Airs have enough room for both a 9th seat and a restroom. Boutique CEO Sean Simpson said the extra space was the main reason his company decided to switch to the 2-engine planes for Cortez flights. Cortez, because it's a popular option for people, seemed to be a good place to put the King Airs, he said. In late fall of 2016 and early spring of 2017, Machen said about 25% of flights from the Cortez airport were on King Airs. They have since taken over the majority of flights. We've had a shift toward the King Air as our bulk supplier, Machen said. According to Boutique data analyst Tom O'Hara, the 2-engine craft performed between 78 and 82% of flights from July to September, before dipping to 64% in October. That dip was partly caused by several planes experiencing mechanical problems all at once, which caused some cancellations and delays, Machen said. Simpson said the timing of the problems resulted from a combination of bad luck and poor planning on the airline's part, and that the King Airs are just as reliable as the Pilatus planes. Simpson and Machen said the switch to King Airs has been good for both the airport and the airline, allowing them to meet what Simpson called an ongoing demand for Cortez flights. Machen said the number of flights from the airport fell since Boutique raised its ticket prices in August and reached a low of less than 600 in October. But he said the number of tickets sold at the airport over the entire year is still nearly double that of what it was this time last year. He expects ticket sales to go up again for the holidays, especially since Boutique's prices have gone down since the summer, when the most expensive ones could be more than $300. Fares currently are set at a flat rate between $89 and $249, according to O'Hara, depending on how many seats are available on a given flight. Simpson said Cortez continues to be one of Boutique's busiest airports.
According to the Cortez Journal, new goals could help clean up the state's trashy record on waste. Colorado diverts only 12% of its waste from the landfill, far below the national average of 34%, according to a recent report by EcoCycle, a Boulder-based nonprofit recycler. By 2026, the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment expects cities and counties to meet the national average. By 2036, the state health department wants to see 45% of waste diverted from state landfills. The goals will not be enforced, but they are intended to encourage greater recycling and composting, said Wolf Cray, an environmental protection specialist in the Hazardous Materials and Waste Management Division. Composting food and yard waste could target a large portion of the waste stream and cut methane emissions. To encourage composting, the state recently revised its rules for small-scale composting sites, Cray said. In local landfills, about 37% of the waste is organic, according to an audit by the Southwest Colorado Council of Governments. Montezuma County landfill manager Shaq Powers estimates about 21 tons of food waste is dumped in the landfill each week. Colorado has fallen behind other states when it comes to recycling and composting, in part because landfills are cheap, Bailey said. Some cities compost food waste in open-air rows, a process that is land-intensive and would be tough for a city to set up because of the price of land and the permitting process. Finding an appropriate location could also be tough because of the smell. Once established, a composting program would likely require a new full-time department to manage it. If the community invested in a large-scale composting effort, it would take a lot to manage. Aside from the technical side, it would require community education, but there would be plenty of benefits.
Today's High Canyon Country happenings. Organizers of Paths to Mesa Verde, a proposed multi-use trail between Cortez and Mancos, will hold a public meeting today, December 4th, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Cortez Recreation Center to discuss the status of the project. The proposed trail would provide a safe alternative transportation route along U.S. Highway 160 that will connect Cortez and Mancos. It would also provide access to Mesa Verde National Park, the Phil's World Trail System, Southwest Colorado Community College, and the Montezuma County Fairgrounds. There will be a short presentation on the status of the trail's initial planning phase, a question and answer session, and a public workshop with maps. The Cortez Journal reported that Shamrock's Southwest Cash and Carry store in Farmington, New Mexico is moving to a new location with a new name, Shamrock Food Service Warehouse. The old Cash and Carry closed over Thanksgiving weekend to allow staff to focus on preparing the new store to open December 7th at 3030 East Main Street, Suite E in the San Juan Plaza. The 16,000 square foot warehouse is open to the public and has no membership fees. The store sells dry groceries, fresh meat, fresh produce, fresh dairy, packaged whole deli meats and cheeses, candies, party supplies, non-alcoholic beverages, and frozen foods, as well as janitorial supplies and business supply items. It will be open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Mondays through Saturdays and 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Sunday. For more info, visit them online at shamrockfsw.com. Tuesday, December 5th, there are two free events to remind you of. The DCDC SBDC Legacy Succession Planning Workshop at the new Public Service Center from 8:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Free to the public, all details are on our Facebook page, or you can call the CSU Extension Office at 970-677-2283. And the Community Voice has sponsored a Home Buyers Down Payment Assistance Workshop. It's free and at the Dove Creek Community Center at both 12 noon Tuesday and 6 p.m. They'll share with you how you can acquire $10,000 down payment assistance. For more info on their program, go online to homefunds.org, and to register for the class, email homebuyreducationclass@homesfund.org or call the local Community Voice contact at 970-739-0073. All of the happenings are posted up on our DCTV News at Noon Facebook page, along with the YouTube replays, weather, and original stories and local posts. To share your event or information, contact us. It's dcbnnews@gmail.com or call the station 970-677-4119, and we'll be sure to get your news on air.
Thanks for tuning in. News at Noon airs at noon Monday through Wednesday and then is rebroadcast at 3 and 6 p.m. and again re-aired Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in the same order at noon, 3 and 6.
And be sure to check us out on Facebook. It's DCTV News at Noon. Please like us there and share it with a friend.
For Kendra Cook with DCTV and the News at Noon program out of Dove Creek, USA, I'm Kelsey Kiesling. Thanks for watching.